Hey, this is Brian About Town with Statesville Free News, and I'm here with the Honorable Sheriff Darren Campbell
Glad to be
and
here.
Statesville's PD Joe Barone, Chief.
See you, buddy. How are you?
And we're here at Cool Spring Volunteer Fire Department. So what is it we're doing today?
Well, we've been asked to host by Congressman Ted Budd to host a school safety roundtable with us, the school system, law enforcement, and basically how we made Iredell County safe, our schools, and how we're going to continue to do it, and hopefully lead by example for the rest of the state and others across the country.
So I'll put it to both of you. What do you think is the key to having ensuring safety at school?
Communication. Being able to communicate not only with each other, but having staff, parents, and students communicate to us when they hear or see something, and then us being able to communicate with each other to go ahead and react or act to it.
Okay. No, in other words, key is being proactive.
Right.
It's key to safety. So we're going inside, and we'll see what everybody has to say.
Yes, we're going to start here shortly.
All right.
Thank you for coming. And my name's Darren Campbell, and I was gracious enough to be asked to host this meeting with Congressman Ted Budd. And honestly, from my perspective, I cannot say enough about Congressman Budd has been involved with us, especially on the law enforcement side of this, as far as school safety, and that's something we really want to be able to address. His support that we've seen through Congress, basically visiting recently here at Central Elementary School, looking at some of our door locks, is constantly, sometimes maybe more than often, we text back and forth about certain issues that's going on with this. So with that being said, I would often thank you for coming, Congressman Budd, and appreciate you coming.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Honored to be here, Sheriff. So I appreciate your friendship and your leadership here in the county. It just means a lot to me and everyone here as well, and to the families here. And again, thanks to Cool Spring for letting us be here. This is a beautiful facility, and on a day like today, we should open some of those bays up, move all these tables out there, so maybe we can get the first sunburn of the year. That'd be great. Well, I've got some written remarks that I'd like to share, and then after that, I want to move it into asking some questions and more of a dialogue. I think that's where we'll get most of the traction. So my remarks are only 2 or 3 minutes long, but I want you all to do most of the talking and sharing, and me to do most of the listening. You'll hear a couple of new faces to me, but great to see everyone again. I want to thank you all for joining us to talk about school safety and the different steps we could possibly take in the coming months and years to make sure our schools are as safe as they can be for our kids. A special thanks to you, Sheriff, for hosting this roundtable, the rectangular table today, for your leadership here in Iredell County. With the recent tragedy in Parkland, as I looked at my calendar, that was 75 days ago today, the issue of school safety has been at the forefront of the conversation in school districts all throughout this country, and I know in all 435 congressional districts. I felt sick when I watched the Florida tragedy unravel because I have 3 kids at home who are all around the same age as those kids who lost their lives. And I know many of you all have children as well. I know some of your children. And the last thing I want is to have to worry when our kids go to school in the morning that they are not going to come home in the evening. That is why our discussion today is so important for our community, and why I've made it a priority to participate in discussions like the one we're having here with you all as local leaders. This is a complex issue. I want our children to be safe, but I don't want to turn our learning environments into military installations. I want to keep guns out of the hands of those with evil intent, but I don't want to infringe on law-abiding citizens' Second Amendment rights. We have to do something, and people expect all of us as leaders to step up. And in Congress, we've already taken some steps. In March of this year, the U.S. House passed, and I voted for, a bill called the STOP Act. And this stands for Students, Teachers, and Officers Preventing School Violence Act of 2018, the STOP Act. It was introduced by my friend and another freshman, John Rutherford. Before he was in Congress, John served as the sheriff of Duval County, Florida, which is where Jacksonville, Florida is. The STOP Act authorizes $100 million annually for the next 10 years and is part of the program called the Comprehensive School Safety Initiative. And these grants would be directed to fund 4 different things. First is training students, school personnel, and local law enforcement to identify warning signs and to intervene to stop school violence before it ever happens. Second, to improve school security infrastructure to deter and respond to threats of school violence. Thirdly, to develop and operate school threat assessment and crisis intervention teams. Fourth, to facilitate coordination between schools and law enforcement. So when we talk about school safety, we really need to break it down into what I see as 4 separate categories. The first is law enforcement enablement. That is allowing you all to do your jobs. The second is soft target safety, which specifically today, it's a broader issue, but today is focusing on school safety. Third are societal issues. And fourth is respecting the Second Amendment. The bill we passed in the U.S. House, the STOP Act, would touch on 2 of those 4 things. That is law enforcement enablement and soft target, particularly school safety. We also need fully trained SROs, or school resource officers in every school. And our schools need the most updated infrastructure to deter potential violence. And our educators and kids need to be trained to detect any suspicious behavior and also know what to do in the event of a tragedy that we saw in Florida. As leaders, we need to make this issue a priority. That is why I wanted to get everyone at the table, and thank you again for being here, from law enforcement to educators to lawmakers. And so with that, just want to say thanks again for participating today and look forward to continuing to make progress on this front and having a meaningful dialogue on this and surrounding school safety. So again, thank you very much. I know we've got some comments and questions, but I want to just start with you, Sheriff, and you can defer because there's a lot of wisdom here at this roundtable. Just to give us an update on what you've done. And I want to say you've taken me to some spots. You've taken me to Central Elementary. You know, I was able to see some amazing things, even by some 6-year-olds, to show me some of the training that they've had and how they've been equipped. But I just want you to kick it off and tell us what's been done.
Okay, I think from law enforcement in general, both the chiefs here will probably agree with me. We've seen this school safety issue coming for many years, ever since Columbine. So we tried to get ahead of the ball. I can speak sort of working with the superintendent here and Board of Education chair that we have been, while we're not perfect, we've been way ahead of the ball in protecting our staff and our children. It's been one of the first things we think of. You know, we participate together in active shooter training. We've done so for several years now, full with the EMS, fire personnel, and actually a school on most of them is a teacher work day that we work with, even down to so much as busing the staff and training them. I think that's been instrumental.
So you actually, you actually would take them off-site to
Absolutely.
To do training?
We'll go to a school and we will practice just as if it was an active shooter, along with fire personnel, EMS, a real-time response, and even take what if the students was there and the teachers and we had to evacuate. And then we actually practice the reunification on an off-site area. Because, you know, the old saying goes, you have to train like you fight. And it's the perfect example of doing that. And those have worked well. We have learned a lot of things through those training models as far as evacuation, communication. I think this year we learned something that we'd never thought about, but it actually ended up something we can change here. Other stuff is and the system-wide participation that law enforcement in the school does, you know, as far as lockdowns. You know, obviously one of the issues now, by law, they have fire lockdowns. That's nothing required as far as if there was a threat or an active shooter lockdown. We have nothing required that we would like to work on. But other things, as far as from the sheriff's office perspective, we understood or understand early that we've got to educate the children. We've got to build the relationships. Even when we see from Parkland, we have to build the relationships up in the elementary schools through the middle school. There's been a lot of things we've done, just like requiring our deputies here. Currently over 28,000 individual visits as far as visiting schools, having our presence. Our officers sing at these elementary schools. And that excludes the high school and the middle school. We have a mobile classroom here that's actually targeted our elementary and our middle school to help build the relationships with law enforcement, because ultimately we want to get the information from the students and be able to act on that. We have a youth athletic league here that we work, that's open. Superintendent here in the school system makes their gyms available. It's at no cost to the kids, but it's over almost 268 young ladies and men that play in this league to build a relationship up with law enforcement. One of the things we're very proud of when we started was a position we had. I talked to Superintendent Johnson last year. We made the decision we was going to have an SRO, even though we do not have an SRO presence in our elementary school. between the school checks, and we also assigned an individual. His goal during the day is to make 3 elementary school visits at different times. And we have paired him with a donated dog, which is nothing more than to build relationships with the kids to trust us later on. Teen Academy is something that we do here locally. So far, we've had almost 110 people do that. We do it during the month of August, so it does not conflict with our school years. And that's been a big benefit to build a relationship. And lastly, which you've probably seen, we did use drug dealers' money in the asset forfeiture program. And I will say it again for our mobile classroom, the asset forfeiture program.
Yeah.
But also to be able to purchase ballistic shields for our elementary schools. So those come and we'll have this it's redeploying our assets if something was to happen. So if our deputies arrive on the scene, they will have ballistic shields to go and eliminate the threat. And we are placing those at all of our elementary schools in our service area. And we did that with the drug dealers' money. And something that we have tried to make proactive and also not only with education, but we want to take our schools from being a soft target to a hard target. And it's just in the times we live in, we've had to do it. And I think